ॐ ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। जय गुरुदेव बेला। Yeah, you can start.
ओम श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ नवमोऽध्यायः राजविद्या राजगुह्य योगः। श्री भगवानुवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्। राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्। अश्रद्धधाना पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि। मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्। भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायु सर्वत्र गोमहान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय। सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकां कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्। प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात्। न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय। उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम्। हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तः मम भूतमहेश्वरं मोघाशामोघकर्माणः मोघज्ञानाविचेतसः राक्षसीमासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिताः महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्यनन्यमनसः ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम् सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम् अहं क्रतुरहं यज्ञः स्वदाहम् अहमौषधम् मन्त्रोऽहम् अहमेवाज्यम् अहम् अग्निरहं हुतम् पिताहमस्य जगतः माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रमोङ्कारः ऋक्सामयजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभु साक्षी निवासः शरणं सुहृत् प्रभवः प्रलयस्थानं निधानं बीजमव्ययम् तपाम्यहम् वर्षं निगृह्णाम्युत्सृजामि च अमृतं चैव मृत्युश्च सदसच्चाहमर्जुन त्रैविध्या मां सोमपाः पूतपापा यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा स्वर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् अश्नन्ति दिव्यान् दिवि देव भोगान् ते तं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालं क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्ना गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य विधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेनातश्च्यवन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन्यान्ति पितृव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेजा यान्ति मध्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवं मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा क्षुद्राः तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्या भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्या भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः मध्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्तैव अमात्मानं मत् मामे वैश्यसि युक्तैव आत्मानं मत्परायणः। ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुन संवादे राजविद्या राजगुह्ययोगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः। ॐ तत्सत्। अथ दशमोऽध्यायः। श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया। ॐ तत्सत्। श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। So yesterday we were seeing the prayer. I will just browse through the last paragraph, what we saw. Why we pray, right? Why pray? May I read just a paragraph before? Kindly let me know. Or I think I read the paragraph before why we pray. This is a very important topic. So I will just. My internet is unstable, so kindly let me know if there is too much of breaking. Importance of an action. The action is important here because it produces a corresponding emotion. If the action is not done.
Excuse me, I missed a class. Can you tell me which sloka this one is? Sorry.
Kshamyadam. Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Oh, okay, got it.
I will just read the shloka. Yeah. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. He who offers me with devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, water, I receive that offering imbued with the devotion of the person whose mind is pure. Again, this is a verse that is quoted often. What you offer does not matter. It can be a leaf, patra, like a bilva, or a tulsi leaf, pushpa, a flower, phala, fruit, toya, water. But the action of offering is necessary and how it is offered is also important. Yaha me bhaktya prayachati. He who offers to me with devotion. Bhaktya prayachati means he gives with devotion, recognizing me as Ishvara. I offer this to Ishvara for antakarana shuddhi, gnana and moksha. Then any karma is a yoga. There is no entity called bhakti. It is only a condition of the mind. When you perform a ritual, it is karma, but bhaktya prayachati means you do this karma with devotion. Then it is karma yoga. Any karma can be if there is bhakti. A puja is karma. So is singing kirtan. It is an action, vachikam karma. If you do dhyana, it is a mental action, manasam karma. All of them are karmas, and bhakti, they karma yoga. Whose offering is this? Prayatatmanah, of a person with the right effort. This is someone whose mind is pure. Bhakti, devotion, is an expression of a pure heart. The action is done with a pure heart, and in order to gain that pure heart, we also perform an act of devotion. Importance of an act of devotion. The action becomes important here because it produces a corresponding emotion. If the action is not done, the emotion will also disappear. So we have certain actions which cause particular emotions to manifest. The form and the spirit, as I have mentioned earlier, are both important. Suppose there is a form which is not backed by the spirit. It is a mere form, a dead form. And when the spirit is there, a particular form is not necessary. To make an offering to the Lord, you do not need a physical action. If you have devotion for the Lord, you have it. You need no special action to express it. When you have an appreciation of Ishvara, its expression, devotion is always in you. But the problem is, devotion is not real as long as you think you are a devotee. When there is an ahankara, an ego, which thinks it takes care of your yogakshema and uses Ishvara as an accomplice, you need an act of devotion. I repeat, when there is an ahankara, an ego, which thinks it takes care of your yogakshema and uses Ishvara as an accomplice, you need an act of devotion. It becomes as important as the spirit of devotion. As I told before, if you hate a person, the best way of getting rid of it is to act you have love for him. You may say it is hypocrisy. If your intention is to deceive the person, it is hypocrisy. If your intention is to get rid of the hatred, it is not. You do something like giving a flower to him daily for 41 days. The act of giving a flower in any culture so far on this planet is a symbol of love or affection. In Indian culture, it also indicates respect and devotion. That action, when your psyche is connected with love and affection, doubt will come in conflict with your emotion towards the person you hate. But you also want to get rid of this hatred. So you give the flower, and the day comes when you will not do it anymore. In the act of love, there is love expressed. So the opposite emotion, hatred, is converted into love. This is what. Oh, the voice is breaking. Can someone take over?
Yeah, don't
Dr.
worry, I'll
Mara?
take over, Villa.
Yeah, Dr. Mara is also there.
Uh, Dr. Ramla, you want me to read or you're okay?
Yeah, if you're okay to read, please go ahead, Dr. Mara.
Sure, I can read it.
Yeah, Dhanyavad, Dr. Mara.
No problem. 1 second, I just wanted to. Okay. So where do we start from here? As I told you before.
Yeah, please. I think that was read. This is, I'm repeating only. I think,
We can go to here, the act of devotion.
yeah.
Okay. Here, the act of devotion is an important as here the act of devotion is as important as the devotion. Only in the act is the devotion manifest, and this manifestation is very important. It has to become an all-consuming passion. I must become the very content of devotion, which means that the ahankara should not be there at all. That is why they ask you to do puja daily. It need not even be understood. It is just a cultural expression. Why what you offer is not important? God is not going to be pleased just because you have offered some flowers. He is not going to be flattered by your act of giving or by your praising Him, because whatever you can think of is less than the Lord. It is something like the child who has just learned how to multiply. When his father helps him to do his homework, he says, "Dad, you are a great mathematician." How does he know? His understanding of great mathematician is limited by his own knowledge of mathematics. A title should be given by a person competent to give that title. We cannot even spell the word omniscient correctly. What can we really understand when we call the Lord omniscient? The omniscient. From the little knowledge we have, how are we going to appreciate the Lord's omniscience? We have no immediate knowledge of this at all. It can never be immediate knowledge unless we step out of the individual mind. Then we can say, I am that Sarvajna. That is the freedom we can get. With reference to our mind, etc., there is no question of being all pervasive, all knowing, all powerful. When a bhakta praises the Lord, his praise always falls short of what the Lord is. Again, when a bhakta praises the Lord, his praise always falls short of what the Lord is. So the Lord cannot be flattered, much less can he take what you offer. When you offer something to the Lord, he does not take it away. If he did, nobody would give anything. But if a priest comes to your house to perform a ritual, he always comes with the bag. At various stages of the ritual, things are offered to him, and he puts them in his bag. If the Lord were to take what you offer, he must have a place of his own like this bag to keep it. Where can the Lord have a place of his own? To say this is Lord's own place, there must be some place which is not his. Being Sarva Vyapi, all pervasive, all places are his places. Being everything, there is no place of his own. Whatever you offer remains there. Why then do I offer? Nice question. Next, why pray? Often people ask me if the Lord is all pervasive, if he is in me and outside me, why should I pray? Drop the if. The Lord is everywhere. If you know that, there is no need to pray. But if you do not know, pray in order to get that knowledge. You seem to see yourself as separate from the Lord, who is omnipotent, omniscient, and includes you. To that Lord, whom you have not understood, pray. I am told that you are all pervasive. O Lord, show me how you are all pervasive. How am I included in you? If Only the Lord is there. And how am I the Lord? Please reveal this to me. This act of prayer is as important as the spirit behind it. Without the act, there will be no spirit unless you are a jnani. His whole life is an act of prayer. His whole life is an act of prayer. But for a person who is not a jnani, even if the spirit is absent, as long as the act is there, the spirit will come. Because you cannot perform an act of prayer without the spirit entering into it. That is because prayer is the most voluntary action in the world. It is an action for which the result is not immediate. So the free will expresses itself in the fullest form. In all other actions, you are motivated in one way or another. When you see a go-getter, you see a driven person. But if that person simply falls back and offers a prayer, it is definitely voluntary because nobody can make another person pray. Even parents can only ensure that children close their eyes and maybe even utter the Lord's name. But whether you pray or not is entirely up to you. When we were children, we were asked to do a whole set of rituals before and after the Gayatri Japa. They took about 50 minutes, but unless we did them, we would not get our coffee. Therefore, for coffee's sake, we were driven to do them. If you are just doing something to please your mother and get your morning coffee, it is only an action, not an act of prayer. But you do pick up the spirit when you perform the act. If in the act of prayer there is some spirit, we call it real prayer. In it is your appreciation of Ishvara and your own helplessness. This keeps you sane. Again, in it's your appreciation of Ishvara and your own helplessness. This keeps you sane. The sanest person is one who understands his own limitations as well as his virtues. One who understands only one's own virtues, I would not say is the sanest. When you appreciate not only your helplessness, but also Ishvara as the one who is limitless, etc., your sanity is complete. Then your whole life becomes an expression of prayer. The spirit of prayer is the same. The form can vary. The importance of prayer is recognized in every religious culture, but each has its own form, which is purely cultural. The prayer is common. How the person prays is prescribed differently. One person may follow a puja form step by step in which patra, a leaf, pushpa, a flower, phala, a fruit, toya, water are offered. Even if they are not available, you can offer any or all of them mentally. You can even do the whole puja mentally. But if it is mental puja, we need not limit our offering to a patra, pushpa, phala, and toya alone. Mentally, we can offer everything imaginable. But the action is important, and that is what Bhagavan points out here. What is recommended in this verse is an act of worship called puja. You need not do Vedic rituals. Only an act of worship is in which you offer patra, pushpa, phala, and or toya. There is a verse that says that in Kali Yuga, for the people who have impure minds, who do not have rituals prescribed for them, reciting the Lord's name is enough. that footnote is Kalau Kalmasha Chittanam. Kalau Kalmashittanam Papa
Kalau,
Hmm?
Kalau kalmasha chittanam papadravyopajivinam vidhikriya vihinanam harer namaiva kevalam.
Okay. Kalau Kalmasha Chittanam Papa Dravyopajivinam Vidhi Kriya Vihinanam Hare Namaiva Kevalam. Okay, just say the name. Okay, so going back there, yeah. There is a verse that says in Kali Yuga, for the people who have impure minds, who do not have ritual prescribed for them, reciting the Lord's name is enough. In all the yugas, people's minds were impure. So this verse embraces all people whose minds are to be purified. Since they have ragadveshas, etc., they live by means which are not always proper and are called Papa Dravya Upajivis. Papa Dravya Upajivis. If you observe your pursuits, you will notice that when you get something, it is usually the cost of someone else. It is usually at the cost of someone else. There is often some aggression towards others. Therefore, there is Papa involved in your daily life. Then old impurities, kalmashas cannot be eliminated because daily you gather new ones. You can only eliminate them by doing Nitya Naimatikadi karmas. Nitya Naimatikadi karmas like Agnihotra and other rituals, which are prescribed in the Vedas according to Varna and Ashrama. But these people do not have any such rituals prescribed for the Varna and Ashrama they are in. How are they going to rid themselves of Kalmasha and gain Antakarna Shuddhi? The name of the Lord is the only means. Gatir Govinda Kirtanam. It includes puja, kirtana, etc. Whatever the offering is, it must be bhakti upahurta. Whatever the offering is, it must be bhakti upahurta, that is offered with the devotion. If you are moved by devotion expressed in offering of a flower, a leaf, etc., with a pure heart, what happened to that offering? Next, an offering made with devotion is received by Bhagavan. Aham ashnami, I eat. Shankara says that this should be taken as aham grihnami, I receive it. Grihnami, I receive it. It means a person gets the result for his action, antakarna shuddhi. You need not do elaborate rituals. All that is required is recognition and an act of prayer. The meaning of this verse is that an act of prayer is important and it should be done for the sake of Antakarna Shuddhi, leading to moksha. When Bhagavan receives your prayer, you are already blessed. So I'm going to read this paragraph again. Aham ashnami, I eat. Shankara says that this should be taken as aham brahmami, I receive it. It means the person gets the result for his action, antakarna shuddhi. You need not do elaborate rituals. All that is required is recognition and an act of prayer. The meaning of this verse is that an act of prayer is important and should be done for the sake of Antakarna Shuddhi leading to moksha. When Bhagavan receives your prayer, you are already blessed. There is a story illustrating this season. There is a story illustrating this in Bhagavata Purana. A poor man, Sudama, also called Kushela, lived with his wife and 27 children. He and Krishna had studied together in the same Gurukula at the feet of the Rishi Sandipani. Studying under the Rishi had given him great insight and devotion. Even though he was Grihastha and had to find food for his Lord's family, he was cheerful and devoted to the Lord. His wife found it increasingly difficult to maintain the family on his meager earnings. One day she suggested to Sudama that as he had been with Krishna at the Gurukula, he should seek Krishna's help. Sudama was unwilling to go and ask for charity in the name of friendship. She finally prevailed. After agreeing, Sudama started to worry. How can I go and meet Krishna, my old friend, without a gift? He is no ordinary person. He is more than a king. And one should not go empty handed to a king, to a deity, or to the Guru. Rikta Panihi na Pashyeta Rajanam Daivatam Gurum. And I don't have anything to offer to him. His wife said, I have something you can offer him. She had already saved some beaten rice called poha from what Sudama had brought home. She wrapped all she had, which was about 3 morsels, in a rag and gave it to Sudama. He went to Dwaraka. Krishna, learning that Sudama had come, asked that he be escorted into the palace with the great respect. He came down to meet Sudama at the door, washed his feet, and welcomed him into the palace. In those days, if you were a Brahmana, a king had to greet you with respect and do certain prescribed acts of worship. Then Krishna asked Sudama, did you bring anything for me? Initially, Sudama did not say anything, for he thought Krishna would take offense at the insignificant gift he had brought. He saw the palace, the riches around, and was august within himself as to how he could have come to see Krishna with some beaten rice wrapped in a rag. But Krishna found the small bundle hidden in his clothes, pulled it out, and began eating from it. He took one mouthful and then a second one. Before he could take the third one, his wife Rukmini, who was standing near him, stopped him. She stopped him because that very act of eating, grahana becomes anugrahana. Grahana becomes anugrahana, bestowal of his grace on Sudama. When Krishna took his first morsel of rice, there in Sudama's village, his hut got transformed into a palace. His wife and all the children suddenly found themselves in the best of clothes. Rukmini stopped Krishna from taking more of a beaten rice because he had taken all of it. The whole world would have belonged to Sudama. That is the Lord's anugrahana. It becomes available immediately when he accepts an offering. Sudama was so overwhelmed by Krishna's welcome and the arrangements for his comfortable stay that he forgot to ask Krishna for any help. Let me go back again. That is the Lord's anugrahana. It becomes available immediately when he accepts an offering. Sudama so overwhelmed by Krishna's welcome and the arrangements for his comfortable stay that he forgot to ask Krishna for any help. He was just happy meeting Krishna after such a long time. He went back to his village, and when he reached it, he was not sure whether it was his village or another. Everything was different. Even the ponds that had been dry were full of water. The trees were full of flowers and fruits. He could not recognize the place until his wife and children came and greeted him. When Bhagavan takes, he gives. Even the fact that you can pray is the result of prayer. Again, even the fact that you can pray is the result of prayer. You try. See if you can really open your heart and pray. You will find it very difficult. With all the pain and cynicism we have inside, it is very difficult to open up. 100 arguments will come to prove how prayer is useless. So it takes a number of as though prayers before we can really pray. So it takes a number of prayers before we can really pray. Prayer being an action which is highly voluntary, as I told you, where the free will gets its maximum expression, is the most efficacious action. Again, prayer being an action which is highly voluntary, as I told you, where the free will gets its maximum expression, is the most efficacious action. The role of the will is so complete. You are not driven to it, you do it on your own, and its result is assured. That is why Shankara interprets the word Grahnami as Anugrahnami, as a sadhana for Antakarna Shuddhi. An act of bhakti is very important. It will instill devotion. Again, as a sadhana for Antakarna Shuddhi, as an act of bhakti is very important. It will instill devotion because it does imply a certain degree of surrender and recognition of one's limitations. This can lead to helplessness. This can lead to helplessness, but it is accompanied by the recognition of Ishvara as a limitless. An act of devotion makes this appreciation very real. The attitude of surrender becomes more and more real through the act of surrender. So the act is as important as the very attitude until the attitude does not come and go. If it is an abiding attitude, you have no need to perform an act of devotion as a means, as we will see in the next verse. So I'll read this one quickly, this paragraph. As a sadhana for Antakarna Shuddhi, an act of bhakti is very important. It will instill devotion because it does imply a certain degree of surrender and recognition of one's limitations. This can lead to helplessness, but when it is accompanied by the recognition of Ishvara as limitless, the act of devotion makes this appreciation very real. The attitude of surrender becomes more and more real through the act of surrender. So the act is as important as the very attitude until the attitude does not come and go. If it is the unabiding attitude, you have no need to perform an act of devotion as a means, as we will see in the next verse. Very nice. Yat karoshi yat karoshi yadas nashi yat juhosi tadashi yat Yata pashyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
I'll
Yat
just say
karoshi.
one.
You want to read it?
Yeah,
Yat
just Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
Okay. Yat karoshi, whatever you do. Yat ashnashi, whatever you eat. Yat juhoshi, whatever ritual you perform. Yat tadasi, whatever you give. Yat tapashyasi, whatever religious discipline you follow. Kaunteya, Arjuna, tat kurushva, please do it. Madarpanam, as an offering to me. Okay, let me read one more time. Yat karoshi, whatever you do. Yat yashnashi, whatever you eat. Okay, I have to read the whole thing, right? Yat karoshi, yat asnashi, yat juhosi, yat tadasi. Oh, wait. Yat tapashyasi, kaunteya, tat kurushva, madarpanam. Madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever ritual you perform, whatever you give, whatever religious discipline you follow, Arjuna, please do it as an offering to me. So again, I'll read this. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever ritual you perform, whatever you give, whatever religious discipline you follow, Arjuna, please do it as an offering to me. Various actions that you do, whether they are secular or spiritually enjoined, either by the Vedas or by Smriti, please do all of them as an offering to me. Kurushva Madarpanam. Why is this said here? Generally, even though people perform these rituals, prayers, etc., they do them for their own yoga and shema. Again, I'll read this one more time. Generally, even though people perform these rituals, prayers, etc., they do them for their own yoga and shema. The same ritual can be a kamya karma or nishkama karma. Nishkama karma does not mean you do not expect a result. Nobody can perform an action without expecting result. It means you expect no result except antakarna shuddhi. Again, it means you expect no result except antakarna shuddhi. You may do anything, but if it is no longer a karma karma, you do it with an entirely different attitude. What you want is antakarna shuddhi. What exactly is the purification? Not to be in the hands of likes and dislikes. The two words that really cover all other psychological problems. If you analyze any problem you have, you find it comes under raga dveshas. Things did not happen as I wanted. Therefore, I have a problem. Things do not happen as I want. Therefore, I have a problem. I do not see that things will not happen as I want. Therefore, I have a problem. All problems, normal or abnormal, can be brought under raga dveshas. So, here, the first paragraph, 1 second, can you scroll up a little bit? Let me see, there's no heading here. So, generally, they're talking about what karmas are doing, why we are doing it. There's two karmas that's mentioned, kamya karma and nishkama karma. Even though Nishkama Karma, you don't expect the result, but you're doing it for Antakarna Shuddhi. But for all the problems, the bottom line is the Raga Dveshas. Okay. Connection or pray, a connection of prayer and mental purification. So how do you connect the prayer to mental purification? This Antakarna Shuddhi is very important. This Antakarna Shuddhi is very important, and to achieve it, prayer is inevitable. Why? Because only a prayerful mind can accept all this. Only on seeing my helplessness can I forgive myself. Only understanding myself very clearly as a limited person can I totally accept that I could only do as much as I did. I could not have done anything better. Perhaps in order of these things, perhaps in order of the things, this is how it should have been. With that kind of recognition, that prayerful attitude, there is serenity. Again, with that kind of recognition, that prayerful attitude, there is serenity. When the mind is settled like this, it can inquire properly. Okay, so here Bhagavan is talking about a person who is interested in moksha. He does karma for antakarna shuddhi. He may do the same action as a kama kami, but he does not want this and that. He wants only one thing, moksha, which is non-separate from himself. As a karma yogi, he has renounced the results of his actions, karma palatyaga. He plays roles and performs karma, etc., but he does not work for dharma, artha, and kama, but works only for antakarna shuddhi. Or we can be a sannyasi, or he can be a sannyasi who gives up the karmas, duties, so that he has no role to play. Both the karma yogi and the sannyasi have a recognition of Ishvara, and that is called bhakti. So why do we do prayer? That was a okay, that's fine. Go ahead. We'll summarize later. That okay. That
Dr. Mara,
yeah,
can you just repeat the previous two paras that you read? And there is a
sure.
little bit of background noise coming from your side. Maybe you can check it out.
Oh,
Thank
okay. All right. Okay, do you want to, you scroll it down, okay. Is it from this paragraph generally, even though people?
you.
Or even,
Can you go up one para before that as well? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
whatever you do, okay. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever ritual you perform, whatever you give, whatever religious discipline you follow, Arjuna, please do it as an offering to me. So anything you're doing, performing, eating, giving, following, everything, you're doing it as an offering to me. Various actions that you do, whether they are secular or scripturally enjoined, either by the Vedas or by Smriti, please do all of them as an offering to me. Smriti is also in the written form, right? Anyway, please do all of them as an offering to me. Kurusva Madarpanam. Why is this said here? Kurusva Madarpanam. Generally, even though people perform these rituals, prayers, etc., they do them for their own yoga and shema. Again, generally, even though people perform these rituals, prayers, etc., they do them for their own yoga and shema. The same ritual can be a kamya karma or a nishkama karma. Nishkama karma does not mean you do not expect a result. Nobody perform an action without expecting result. It means you expect no result except antakarna shuddhi. You may do anything, but if it is no longer a kamya karma, again, you may do anything, but if no longer a kamya karma, you do it with an entirely different attitude. What you want is an antakarna shuddhi. 1 second, I need a little water.
Shall I continue, Dr. Mara, if you have, because there is no notification now for the internet.
Okay, if you want to, that's fine. I can read also.
Just let me know if there is any issue.
No problem. I can read it. So, where were we? So what do you want is antakarna shuddhi. What exactly is the purification? Not to be in the hands of likes and dislikes. The two words that really cover all other psychological problems. If you analyze any problem you have, you find it comes under raga dveshas. Things did not happen as I wanted, therefore I have a problem. Things do not happen as I want, therefore I have a problem. I do not see that things will not happen as I want, therefore I have a problem. So he's mentioning in past, present, and future tense, whatever we are expecting not happening, so that's a problem. All problems, normal or abnormal, can be brought under raga dveshas. Okay, can I move on? Okay. Connection of prayer and mental purification. This is very nice. This antakarana shuddhi is very important, and to achieve it, prayer is inevitable. Why? Because only a prayerful mind can accept all this. Only on seeing my helplessness can I forgive myself. Only understanding myself very clearly as a limited person can I totally accept that I could only do as much as I did. I could not have done anything better. Perhaps in order of things, this is how it should have been. With that kind of recognition, that prayerful attitude, there is serenity. When the mind is settled like this, it can inquire properly. Here, Bhagavan is talking about a person who is interested in moksha. He does karma for antakarna shuddhi. He may do the same action as a kama kami, but he does not want this and that. He wants only one thing, moksha, which is non-separate from himself. As a karma yogi, he has renounced the results of his actions, karma pala tyaga. He plays roles and performs karma, etc. But he does not work for dharma, artha, and kama, but works only for antakarna shuddhi. Or he can be a sannyasi who gives up the karmas, duties, so that he has no role to play. Both the karma yogi and the sannyasi have a recognition of Ishvara, and that is called bhakti. So that's okay. Tat kurushva Madarpanam. Whatever you do, please offer it to me. Tat Kurushva Madarpanam. Whatever you do, please offer it to me. It means, may you not expect a result of yoga or shema. Just do it and let it go to the Lord. It is an expression of your devotion to Ishvara. All you want is Antakarna Shuddhi. The very offering of such a prayer brings about inner purification. Therefore, whatever you do, please offer it to me for the sake of Antakarna Shuddhi leading to moksha. Bhagavan is not going to be elevated by your offering, but you are enriched in the process. So this is kind of very important, looks like. Tat Kurushva Matarpanam. Whatever you do, please offer it to me. It means may you not expect a result of yoga or shema. When you're offering it, you don't expect that. Just do it and let it go to the Lord. It is an expression of your devotion to Ishvara. All you want is Antakarna Shuddhi. The very offering of such a prayer brings about inner purification. The very offering of such a prayer brings about inner purification. Therefore, whatever you do, please offer it to me for the sake of Antakarna Shuddhi, leading to moksha. Bhagavan is not going to be elevated by your offering, but you are enriched in the process. Yat karoshi, whatever you do. Bhagavan addresses Arjuna directly here. Whatever you do is made into an offering. Whatever you do is made into an offering, and the result of that karma is taken as prasada. Again, Yat karoshi means whatever you do. Bhagavan addresses Arjuna directly here. Whatever you do is made into an offering, and the result of that karma is taken as prasada. Yat ashnashi. Yat ashnashi, whatever you eat. That is why, while eating, we offer the food saying, Pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, Vyanaya swaha, Udanaya swaha, Samanaya swaha, and then finally saying Brahmane swaha. It means this: unto the Lord who is in the form of prana, the respiratory function, apana, the system that throws things out of the body, samana, the digestive system, vyana, the whole circulatory system, udana, the prana, that ejects the life out of the body at the time of death. I offer this food, Brahmane swaha, to the one who indwells every physical body, identified with the total subtle body, Hranyagarbha. I offer this food. Oh. Okay. So I'll read this again. Yat ashnashi, whatever you eat. That is why, while eating, we offer the food saying, Pranaya swaha, Apanaya swaha, Vyanaya swaha, Udanaya swaha, Samanaya swaha, and then finally saying, Brahmane swaha. It means this: unto the Lord who is in the form of prana, the respiratory function, apana, the system that throws things out of the body, samana, the digestive system, vyana, the circulatory system, udana, and the prana that ejects the life out of the body at the time of death. I offered this food, Brahmane swaha, to the one who indwells every physical body, identified with the total subtle body, Hiranyagarbha, I offer this food. That's a Ashnashi. Yat Juhosi, whatever fire ritual you perform, whether it is Shrauta Karma, or a Smarta Karma, Shrauta Karma or a Smarta Karma, or any ritual that you perform daily on special occasions or on special occasions, please offer it unto me. Let it not be for dharma, artha, or kama. All that is important in your attitude is your attitude. All that is important is your attitude. Bhagavan is not going to be flattered by what you do or do not offer, what you do or do not offer. Still, through some association, you make your offering more and more real, which creates in you a certain bhavana attitude. Vishnu is the one who loves ornamentation. He is Alankara Priya. Lord Shiva loves a bath. He is Abhishek Priya. Lord Surya loves salutations. He is Namaskara Priya. So you do all this for your own sake, really, to make your devotion more real. It is only your attitude that counts. 2 pieces of wood. Yeah, where is that? Lord Surya loves salutation. He's Namaskara Priya. So you do all this for your own sake, really to make your devotion more real. It is only your attitude that counts. 2 pieces of wood in the form of a cross mean nothing. Every telephone pole looks like that, but it stands for something. So there is an attitude, bhavana, so it will work. Nobody will be denied the result of his prayer, whether he is a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, a Parsi, or anybody. These things must be very clear. Any religion is based on bhavana. That is what makes a person a devotee. Yat
Jai
tadas.
Gurudev,
Mm,
I have
yeah.
a small, I want a small understanding. So for Antakarna Shuddhi, the 3 things is, one is have no likes and dislikes. Second is to offer everything to the Lord, whatever you're doing as an offering to the Lord. And the third is whatever you eat as an offering to the indwelling Brahman. Is there anything more in this for Antakarna Shuddhi that I missed?
Whatever you get as a result of your action, you take it as prasada. That is also there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Right? That's the whole gist of karma yoga.
Yeah, you perform with that attitude, so bhavanam, in the beginning you're doing it with an act, and then that going on to the prayer, that was in the previous verse, and then this is the continuing part, I think.
It is 6:10 now. I mean, we have
Yeah,
another 5. So
yeah.
do you want to stop here so that
Yeah.
these are very important ones that we can directly
Yeah, we can
translate
repeat
into our
tomorrow.
action.
Yeah,
Maybe
we can
we'll
repeat.
repeat the shlokas once and do Manana of this. We'll continue to. I can chant the verses, Bila. We started with
Yeah,
Patram
kindly.
Phalam
Yes,
Toyam,
yes.
right?
Patram Pushpam.
Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So the meaning is whatever Yad karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat yattapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever ritual you perform, whatever you give, whatever religious discipline you follow, Arjuna, please do it as an offering to me. Let's close our eyes and reflect on what we have learned and listened. Jai Gurudev. Such important aspects where we can really implement in our daily life, and how in our attitude to what we do, what real prayer is, what real devotion is. Prayer, he says, is the ultimate act. It's a voluntary act. So it takes several as though prayers to actually really pray. For prayer, it is the attitude which is important. So initially, there are two things: act of prayer and the spirit behind the prayer, or the devotion. So if there is no devotion, at least start doing an act of prayer, which is why that Nitya Puja is so important. And then eventually that becomes the spirit will, with the devotion aspect also will start happening. But for a person who already has devotion, an act of prayer is not really required. So it is actually a spectrum there. And what you do as an act of prayer is immaterial, and what you offer is immaterial. But how you offer it is so important. That patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati, with devotion, and prayatatmanaha, with a pure mind.
Yeah, he also says about the mental prayer. Even if you cannot do that, you can
Yes.
do the
It could be vachikam karma, it could be manasam karma. Like dhyana is a manasam karma, you can also mentally pray. And the prayer is one aspect where your free will is totally manifest. It's not like, for instance, if you ask a child to sit and pray, he might just sit there, but his mind might be going everywhere else onto this play. Forget about a child. What about us? We might just be doing lip service to God, but are we really devoted? How is our attitude? Is it on the result? Is it on our yoga kshema? And the second verse here, when he says Madharpanam, he says when you pray, don't pray for your yoga kshema, because then again you're getting linked with, you're hooking it to your raga dvesha. You don't want some things to happen in your life because you have dvesha for that. Therefore, you pray that you don't want that. Or we might end up praying for things that we want in our life. In either case, you are no better. You are a samsari only. There is no karma yoga there. So when you pray for that antakarna shuddhi. Doesn't matter what I do. Doesn't matter what result I get. I will take it as prasada. But then Swamiji also mentions that he contrasted kamya karma to nishkama karma. Nishkama karma, he says, does not mean you don't expect a result. You cannot do any act without expecting a result. But that nishkama comes in where you offer it as an act of offering, plus whatever result you get, you are happily receiving it as his prasada. So that is the nishkama aspect over there. There is a kamya karma. You're doing any ritual, you're doing it for a certain limited end. Like, I want this to happen, I want that to happen in my life, or I don't want this problem that is there, I want this problem to go. So all that becomes kamya karma. Sarlaji says prayer also comes because of grace. Yeah, that is what he says. Even the ability to pray is because of some prayer that we've done before. Is that samskara we have had before. So my little question is, on one side, he says prayer is where you fully express your free will. But on the other side, he says, even the very fact that you're able to pray is because of prayer. Again, it's like a catch-22 situation. You don't know which came first, grace or free will. We'll be going around in a circle. It's a circular thing. So I think it's best that we leave it and understand that in order to be able to pray, we have had, it is a result of some prayer that we've done before. And what we do now is free will. How we pray now is free will. That we are able to pray is destiny, that we've done it before. We've got some grace, some blessing, some punya from whatever we've done before. We're able to pray now. But how do we want to take this prayer forward? There we have a voluntary will to express. Anybody else wants to share? Please go ahead.
I feel I just had in my Kriya a parent coming over. The child is very hyperactive, and the astrological charts, they have a lot of belief in that. So they say that the Shani is very heavy for the child. Sarasati chal rahi hai and all that. So invariably every Saturday before coming to the Kriya, she drags the child to the temple to bow down to pray and all that in the Shani temple. Now that what she's doing now, maybe he's praying involuntarily. But once he grows up, that being a part of him, then what they say, what we just did just now, that it's a catch-22 situation, may not remain like that. His mind would change, that he has been given in a small age this idea that he has to go to the temple and pray. Maybe he carries on when he grows up, and then it becomes a part and parcel of him and he does it voluntarily. Right now he's doing it involuntarily. And what also came out during this was like I saw the child, I blessed him and all that, but the effect of all the planets and all, we are also made up like from macrocosm to microcosm, to understand it, that everything is within our body. When we are talking about, some of people out here are studying astrology, so they may be knowing the subject better, but that everything that is there in the universe is a part of us. And it's really amazing how we can relate the microcosm to the macrocosm. And then today we did also the pranas, how the 5 pranas and the Lord of the pranas, Paramatma, that cosmic energy, universal cosmic energy being Paramatma or whatever. And then we coming down to Jivatma. And all these pranas are within us. Jai Guru.
Ultimately, it boils down to recognizing, right? Ultimately, it boils down to recognizing the, on one aspect, our limited nature, in the sense that we are still seekers, we still have not recognized. That is why when we pray out of that helplessness. We say, please make me understand, help me understand your true nature. Let me understand my own nature. And then the recognition that there is Ishvara, that Satchidananda. So these two are integral in this aspect of devotion. So when you're helpless, your ahankara is getting kind of dissolved. You're saying, I'm there, it's an act of surrender there. So your ahankara gets dissolved. And only when that comes down, that settles down, is real devotion happening. Otherwise, as long as you think you're a devotee, your ahankara hood is showing up. So both are important.
Yeah, so like understanding yourself, how you are helpless and limited in your abilities or whatever, then and then recognizing the Lord is limitless and He is omniscient and omnipotent. And I mean, we don't even, like one place it said, oh, you don't even meaning of the omniscient, like they compared with the child learning mathematics, multiplication, and thinking it dad is great mathematician. Like that, we with our little knowledge, we think, oh, we know everything, but it's not. So knowing that, it becomes you accept that, and your mind is able to think clearly. It says, like about this, what you need to do in terms of prayer or for Antakarna Shuddhi, and going from there. And also this when the yet that what is that I read about the Brahmana Swaha and all that. Do you do that around the food? Like
Around the Naivedyam.
in the Naivedya, when you offer the food to.
Yeah, pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, udana. See, just saying it is one aspect. It's like an act. It's a vachikam karma.
Right.
But saying it with that understanding that pranaya swaha, I'm offering this to the one who is who's manifest in that prana. So you're recognizing that nature of Ishvara there. You're bringing in that aspect of spirit in there. So
But
the
every meal, like when you're eating, right? Like we don't, I mean, we put the naivedyam, some fruit or something there. But when you're eating your own meal, I put it in my mouth. Oh, then I remember, oh, I didn't put it for the God. Then I think, oh, the God is within me only. So you said, like, you couldn't, I'm offering to you like that, I kind of thinking. But then I remember reading this in the past also, but it doesn't stay in my head. So that's why I'm wondering, if you offer it like when you're sitting at the table, when you're having the food in front of, or you said you're putting in the naivedyam, then you do this, the saying that.
Yeah, you can do it
That way.
either way. Either you can do it both places. You can, even your breath that you're breathing in and out can be an offering, can be an act of prayer. So
Yeah.
even when you're sitting, that is why we teach children, and it is all in several cultures, that you pray before you eat. You bless your
Right.
food before you eat. So that is bringing in the aspect of prayer even there.
Right.
Even for instance, when you're taking a bath, you just think about Shiva. Shiva is that Abhisheka Priya. So you're taking a
Right.
bath and you bring in that aspect of Shiva within you. Says, and
Yeah.
then you're doing it for that Shiva within. And when you're eating or you're, decorating yourself, you can think of Vishnu and so many ways. I mean, you just look at all the bhakti saints.
Yeah,
They
it's pretty nice. Yeah.
they have, they've brought in bhakti into every aspect of their life.
Sure.
Yeah. So shall we move on to chapter 6? We're having very little time for chapter 6, actually. So wait a second, let me. But these are important verses. Maybe we'll need to redo one more time. We did this, I think we were doing chapter shloka number 42. Athava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimata etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. Or he is indeed born into the family of wise yogis. A birth such as this is indeed very difficult to gain in this world. I think this we saw yesterday. Oh, no, we didn't do this.
Jai Gurudev, it's from, I think, Sansara is a disease. And
From there we have to do, right? Yeah,
there.
because I remember I did the verse yesterday.
Yeah, only initial 2 paragraphs we did.
Initial 2 paragraphs we did, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just read this last paragraph. So we've seen that there is no such thing as a bad lot, durgati, for a yogi or a sannyasi who has the desire to know the self. Anyone who has taken a step towards knowing oneself has already initiated a process of unwinding oneself from samsara. You wind yourself in samsara by karma without even questioning whether you are a karta, a doer or not. Then, within the samsara, retaining the doership centered on the self, you try to accomplish various ends. And these ends are accomplished on the basis of the desire for something other than Atma, all of which we saw earlier. But here you are questioning the very Swarupa of Atma. You may not know whether you are a Karta or not, but at least you are questioning. You are inquiring into it by asking, what is Atma? You are not taking whatever Atma is for granted. Generally, people only try to avoid the dukkha that results from the limitations and bondage experienced by the karta, the subject, without ever questioning the subject itself. Therefore, all their activity is only to bring about something desirable. This kind of life is called samsara. So you're only focused on getting things that are desirable and avoiding things that are not desirable. Samsara is a disease and no one goes for the cure. Samsara is a disease and no one goes for the cure. But once you pay attention to the very subject and ask, who is this subject? What is this I, etc., then you have initiated an auspicious desire, subhecha, a desire for Atma, Atma Ichha, that has to result in moksha. Thus, Krishna's assurance that there is no way that the person will come to a bad end. He also gave Arjuna a little inside information, as it were. The one you call Yoga Bhrashta Arjuna just picks up the thread in his next birth and continues his pursuit of knowledge. The person's prayerful life itself produces certain punya, and because of that punya, the person gains a pleasant stay in the hereafter, followed by rebirth in a situation conducive to his pursuit of knowledge. The idea being conveyed here is that if there is a life after death, a world other than this one, that world will be good for the person. All experiences there will be happy experiences. Therefore, even in the hereafter, there is no such thing as a bad lot for the person. And having enjoyed the result, the punya of his prayerful life in the hereafter, he then comes back to this earth with an adhikari sharira, a body that is qualified to gain the knowledge, meaning that the person returns as a human being. He will not come back in a lower form, but will definitely be born as a human being into a setup that is conducive for his pursuit. Therefore, there is no question of a bad lot anywhere. Any physical body is called yoni. Yoni meaning womb, of which there are 3 types. Deva yoni, a celestial body. Manushya yoni, the body of a human being. And adho yoni, the body assumed by lower life beings. Manushya Yoni is the incarnation in which a physical body enjoying a free will is assumed, meaning a human body or its equivalent, here or anywhere else. A person need not be born on this particular planet necessarily, but in some setup or other, he will be born. Here, Krishna describes the setup into which the person under discussion will be born as the home of a person who is highly cultured and wealthy, and at the same time righteous. Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe. There may be wealth, but there will also be culture. And if there is no wealth, there will definitely be a lot of culture. The family will also be highly ethical and committed to living a life of values. In this way, the person does not have a false start, a start that is handicapped in any way, and therefore can easily pick up the thread of his pursuit of the knowledge. There is still quite a lot. I think much more is there. You tell me if you're okay. I will read one more paragraph. Otherwise, we'll stop here. Maybe I'll read for 2 minutes more. Even better is to be born into a family of yogis. Or Krishna goes on to say that the person can be born into the family of a karma yogi, a mumukshu. A father can be a cultured person, a religious person, and perhaps a wealthy person without being a karma yogi. Even to be born into such a family gives a person a good chance to gain the knowledge that is moksha. But if the person is born into the house of a karma yogi, he has an even better chance, is the point Krishna is making here. In this verse, yogis refer to karma yogis, since sannyasis do not have families. And these karma yogis are also well-informed people, dhimats. Because the word dhimatam is used here, the father can be either a jnani or a mumukshu. The very least he will be is a mumukshu. In either case, from childhood onwards, the person picks up certain values and has no problem taking to his pursuit again without any hindrance whatsoever. In other words, he will not need to work through problems related to his past, etc., because there is no problem. In his commentary of this verse, Shankara took the family of yogis to mean a family in which there is a lack of wealth. He said, Daridranam yoginam kule. But where the father is a yogi, a poor man can also be a beggar, and to be born into such a home implies all kinds of problems. Whereas here, the father is a karma yogi and also a well-informed person who has no wealth whatsoever. He is a pandita, a brahmana. There is no such thing as a rich brahmana, because to be a true brahmana, the person must have no wealth. Therefore, Shankara was actually praising poverty here. To be born as a human being, there has to have been some punya and papa. The poverty of the person will exhaust all his papas, and his punya will be available for yoga. In this way, the person can take to the yoga track, the jnana track, without any let or hindrance. This is why Shankara said that it is better to be born into a family of karma yogi who may not be rich than to be born into a rich family that has a lot of culture. Riches have a way of getting into your head and creating certain complexes that become problems. Poverty can also create complexes, it is true. Both inferiority complex and superiority complex are problems that have to be dealt with. But if you are born into a family where there may not be riches, but where the parents are yogis, there is no problem. Because they are yogis, the value structure is sound, and the person does not have a complex that I am poor. Even though there is no money, he does not think of himself as a poor person. Instead, he thinks of himself as a blessed person. To have the parentage where both parents feel blessed to be what they are, even though they have no money, is the right parentage. The point being made here is that if there is money, that is fine. But if there is no money, it is better, provided, of course, the parentage is proper. I think we'll stop here. So very profound that Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe does not, what Shankara's interpretation of that is, being born into a Karma Yogi's family is much better than being born into a wealthy family that has culture. Because a human body is come because of your Papa and Punya, because of your poverty. Shankara is actually celebrating poverty here. In the sense, all your papas will be exhausted because you're born into a poor family. And the punya you can, the punya that is there, you can carry forward into the path of yoga. So right parentage, so beautifully explained, is that with or without money, if the person is, the parents are karma yogis, that is more important. Because sometimes wealth can get into your head. You might have inferiority or superiority complex. But if you are a karma yogi and your parents are karma yogis, you're so totally blessed.
Dr. Brahmara, do you get sabbatical leave sometime?
Huh?
Do you get sabbatical leave or something like that for a few months?
Tell me why.
Because we can sit and read the whole thing like reading for an exam.
How sweet.
It just feels like, we are reading it. My feeling is just like the more you read it, you feel like you really have to focus it really, to get it. And then, you ruminate into it, so it's
Right.
like it so it'd be nice, like if we all have taken some time off, like 3 months or something like that, just to read Bhagavad Gita, but nothing else.
Isn't it? See, even that thought that you've got, Dr. Mara, is
Yeah.
a result of your purushartha towards mokshutva, towards that moksha purushartha. Otherwise, even that thought will not come, no? That
But to
knowledge.
me, like we are like good group of people, like as I said, I had like introduced to your brother-in-law too. They also called me, oh, we are starting the Gita again. But then I like this meaning, like we are kind of behind. They are much forward with that education or whatever. But it's nice. But whatever we are doing, and we are trying to do it thoroughly, and then how much we can retain it. But then I really like this prayer, and very, very nice that last 2 slokas that we did.
Correct.
Yeah.
Last 2 slokas, and there's abhyasa, vairagya, all of this. These are what we can directly translate, and we need to implement this in our life.
And even as you said, like as if as Bhagavan is telling you directly to us, way, do this way, do this way, and then he simplifies it so much. and even with that, even that is kind of difficult for us to follow. Like that's where the free will, how much is important, and how much you have to put it in the action. Becoming, you can just do the action and then get the spirit into it, like that.
Yeah.
You put it so nicely like that.
And I don't know whether we read the Pratipaksha Bhavana today. That is what we read last time, yesterday and day before, I think. That is, if you have, that is the act of action. Why the act of prayer is important is that person that you hate, you go on giving him a flower every day.
Right.
So that hatred will turn into love. The pratipaksha bhavana will happen. So whenever you're having this is the technique that is used. So if you dislike something, you start disliking if you have a dislike towards a person, you do something.
Okay. Pratipaksha bhavana.
Yeah, pratipaksha bhavana.
It is
Vipaksha
true.
bhavana is pratipaksha bhavana. So you use the opposite emotion to overcome that.
Yeah, talk thinking about it, this happened one time, in my real life. We had some not conflict, something what my medical director said they didn't, like when you have to approve the time for um, vacation leave or something. My son is getting graduated or something like that. Something I wanted to go and see. So she wouldn't give me time off. Oh, he can't just ask me time off just like that. And I said, okay, if you can't approve it, it's okay. You just tell me so. Not like I know I'm responsible not having to cancel patients and all that. I know how much it is a problem. So she felt, I didn't need to feel like that. So she sent me a nice card and flower and all that, Like you said, it's just one of those things where
Yeah.
you make me feel good. Yeah, it kind of neutralize that kind of that emotion or feeling or whatever, to know the bad feeling, the good feeling. Thank you.
And this act of prayer can happen moment to moment. It doesn't need to be only when you sit in front of the deity or you're chanting something. All that is, of course, prayer. It can be moment to moment. Every moment is a prayerful moment. So when you're living in that space, and all the 5 knowledge points of our happiness program actually are pointing towards being in a prayerful attitude throughout your life. You're accepting the present moment is inevitable, and you're not seeing intention, opposite values, all of that comes down so beautifully into that aspect of a prayerful life. Because you're taking whatever comes, you're accepting the situation and person as he or she is. That is also part of prayer. Yeah. So we'll stop here.
That one quickly, like you remember we read like Vishnu's Alankara and she was every day. Lately I've been going every day for the walk in the morning. It's like a small hill, and where there's a creek that's running down, and like it makes small fall kind of thing. Whenever I walk around that creek, I tell my friend, hey, we need to bring one Shivlingam and put it near this water. So the water kind of continuously falling on Shiva. And like that, the sun comes up, we do that prayer, we kind of sing something to ourselves. And it's nice. Early in the morning, you'll go like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock when the sun comes up. It's very nice. Like that, we like to put statues everywhere. And, even in thinking about it, we still think in that mode. I said, no, we have to get rid of all these Nama Rupas and say that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mhm.
So shall we stop here today? Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.